What up? It's your girl KP. Yes, it is me, Keisha Pollard, aka Mrs. Always Amazing. And it's not Friday Eve, right? It is actually an amazing, marvelous Monday. Coming to just share what's been going on in my world, right? So let's see. Last week I traveled for work. I visited my team in Gainesville, Florida. I had all intentions. What do they say? The path to hell is paved with good intentions, right? I had all intentions of getting my podcast done. I thought, man, on location, right? From Gainesville, Florida, here comes KP. And I got consumed I traveled with one of my peers. He'd never been. And so we went out to some of the wetlands and kind of hung out with some of our other peers, our boss that's there. So we are here today. It's Monday, April the 29th. May is upon us. So look at this image. Shout out to Teflon John for creating this for me. You know you can find your girl Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please subscribe. If you have, thank you. I appreciate your time for listening. And don't forget my inaugural blog did debut on teflonjohn.com. It was called The Next Chapter, and it was about my experience with my daughter. She's preparing to graduate, and what that'll be like for us three ladies in the house. I wrote in addition to not doing my podcast last week, I also did not do my blog. So I did submit my second blog, and it is called Daddy's Little Girl. I shared how over time I have seemed to lose respect for my father. I love him. He has taught me what a provider and a protector looks like, and I talk about that in the article. But there came a point in time when the earned respect went away. There is an inherent respect, right? Just like for the police, right? There's just a level of respect you give the police, even considering all the things that are going on in this climate. There's still a level of, I understand he is my father. I respect him. I have not experienced an absentee father at all. He's been super present. He played an integral role when I shared with my family that I was expecting a baby at 13 years old. So, but I didn't know enough about addiction to understand that him putting his addiction before me, that was what it was. It was a statement of fact, right? He did the best that he could. I love my father. I forgive him. So check it out. I just submitted it today. It may take a few days, possibly a week or longer. I know that Mr. Jonathan Smith is burning his candle at both ends. He is actually trying to get a radio station off the ground. So, let's prioritize this thing. I have one up, and I can give you guys the snippet version by way of podcast. So, second blog is completed. I'll let you guys know as soon as it's up. I have been thinking about what's the third one. I do have to turn in another one this week because I want to be caught up. Like, I had to take a little bit of time after I returned from travel. I got back 1:30 a.m. on Thursday night. I worked some on Friday and just been busy. Prom, oh my gosh, prom was this past weekend for Shakoya, so that was fun. Nails done. I'm like, can we soak your nails off already? You're not grown. Like, cut it out. Nails done, hair done, beautiful. Her and her date, Mr. Keyshawn, they were, GQ ready. So that was the fun experience, and having her to go through that rite of passage and check that off the list. So that's done. Now we're waiting for a countdown to graduation. If I haven't said it enough, June the 10th at 2 p.m. Alamo Dome. We also completed her senior pictures. We got those back edited. Shout out to Keisha Griffin. And also, we did her announcements today. So I've been busy. I've been a busy bee, Now it's time to, get your list back out and prioritize. So getting a podcast out was at the top of the list. Writing my blog. I have another blog to do. And I need to come back on Friday Eve, right? And keep my consistency up. I am a part of greatness. So when I think about Martre, Jonathan, and Willie, they are inspiring me to be better, to be consistent. They are phenomenal at what they do. I am trying to at least keep up, right, with my one blog, one podcast, not trying to boil the ocean here, finish my book, be a mom. So, hats off. I am tilting my proverbial hat off at them. But today, just a quick, like any pastor, I won't be before you long, right? So I created a poster today that talked about you have to find a way to release so that you don't unleash. And that sounds super rhymey, but I will say I was able to kind of experience or observe or hear a phone conversation between two individuals. And the call, the intention for the call, the purpose was, could someone do something? And it turned into everything under the sun. It was, so once the call ended, it was like, so how could you have done that differently? Because that sounded like two people with a wall up, two people that didn't want to be vulnerable, two people that didn't want to express, I need you for something. So it was clear that they chose that opportunity to unleash all of the pent-up frustration and aggression that they might have for the other person or from the day. It was like, whoa, I can't believe either one of you guys stayed on that phone call as long as you did, with how, in my word, gross that it sounded, right? And I think we all have taken a phone call, did a meeting, met somebody, and it just wasn't the right time. So we have to get better. Let me speak for Keisha. I have to get better at being able to say, it's not the right time. I need to reschedule the meeting. I need to take a moment. I need to take a beat. Let me take a walk first and think about it. Being in an environment, a corporate environment where instant message, I am accessible 24 hours a day. My team can text me. So sometimes it's, do I allow them to wait and they get a better me, or do I just respond and they might get wounded in the outcome? And that's, that is the crux, or that is why it's important to find that release so that you don't unleash, because you can unintendedly cause casualties. So yes, I might give an answer to my trainer and they'll know what direction, but at what cost? Had I just taken a moment, ask clarifying questions, get curious, right? To say, do you need to answer this second? Can I take a moment? And if the answer is yes, then, it kind of is what it is. And just say, I'm not at my best. I have to do it with my kids. And even apologize with prom. I thought Corey and her friends were going to be ready here 5:45 to take pictures. I kind of made plans, do something around 6-ish. And she was still sitting here. And my frustration, I was looking for, I needed to release. And I kind of unleashed on her, like, dude, this is the most unorganized prom and mess I've been a part of. Yes, I did. And I had to go back and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were the recipient of my lack of judgment. I should have, as your mom, cleared my calendar all day Saturday and done nothing until you were pictured out, beautiful, and ready to go. So I had to apologize for her. And then my unleashing on her caused her to be short with her friends because she was sitting here ready and they weren't here. So then I had to say, no, remember, those are your best friends. This is one moment in time. You don't get a redo. Like, she and I can redo it. You don't get a redo when it comes to prom. So I had to, and parents, apologize to your kids when you're wrong. I make it a point to say, my bad. Like, I am so sorry that I allowed my frustration, because I expected something different. I'll talk about expectations in another podcast, but I expected something different. So how dare I allow my expectations to cause my own frustration when I know better? So I did have to end up apologizing to her because she was salty, petty, #team petty. When her friends came, especially the little date, right? I said, remember who he is. It's a work in progress, communication, being effective. And I told him, why would you say 5:45 if you was just putting on your charcoal mask at 5:45? Be clear. I want them to know, like, it's okay to set realistic expectations. And I am guilty of that too. I want to be everything to everybody. And that causes me, being everything to everybody makes KP a grumpy girl. I can't. And I need to become okay with not being that and being able to prioritize. If not today, then tomorrow. And if tomorrow never comes, I wasn't supposed to do it anyway. So that's kind of my motivation. Let me take a breath, right? That was the motivation behind we have to release. I have to release so that I don't unleash. And when I do, I have to be willing to say I'm sorry to whomever was the recipient of the unleashing. And when I'm talking to someone whom I have residual feelings or resentment about, I have to check my motives. And I have to be able to say either I'm sorry, because I couldn't in the moment dissect that I'm speaking through resentment of a previous issue. Like, what we're talking about has nothing to do with why I am beyond upset with you, right? And when it happens, be okay to apologize. But I'm really trying daily, Lord. I'm really trying every day to get ahead of it and to respond and not react. That's something I've been working on for years, right? How do I listen? And sometimes it feels like hell will rise up in me. I hope I'm not alone. And it's like, what in the world? What are these feelings coming from? We're just talking about whatever. Game of Thrones, the Spurs game. I mean, whatever. Like, why am I so defensive? Why do I feel like what's coming at me is bigger? So then you have to kind of take a moment and say, can we talk about something else? Or, consciously, really think about everything that you say and respond. In your response, I sometimes will retreat in my inability to control my unleashing. I will, oh no, that's cool. No, I get it. No, yeah. No, for sure. No, I understand. I become that person. And it's noticeable. People that know me would know that, like, oh no, here we go. But I tell you, it's progress over perfection every day. Because being vulnerable all the time is exhausting too. And I think no one's ever told me, so I'm thinking, right, I am probably allowing my negative ego to drive how I feel about this. But you think people get tired of it. When I want to say, I want to have this conversation, but I am resentful because of X, Y, and Z. I would love to engage in this conversation with you, but I am so upset because I didn't deal with something. I didn't deal with something that you and I had last week. Or your kids, right? You let something go. They come in your bathroom and take your last roll of toilet paper. So you let it go and you're upset. And so then you come home and they burned. Then it just builds up. And so then whoever's here is going to get it. So Marvelous Monday. Make it amazing Monday. Take some time to release so that you don't unleash unnecessarily, cause casualties. You might still win the war, but was it worth it? Because, and when you do, you have to go back and say, my bad. I'm sorry. You were the recipient of some pent up aggression, some frustration. My bad. And I try to hold people accountable. Listen at me. I'm not even there yet, but I'll hold people accountable and say, ugh, what is this conversation really about? So to be all the way hypocritical, right? I am the queen. So like, no, what's the underlying issue here? I get all Ayanna Van Zandt and Oprah, and I am as I speak, I'm swiping away invisible bangs, right? What is the underlying issue here? Because this can't be about where we're gonna have dinner, and then I'm the main person when we're talking about whatever. Super offended, super defensive. Like, no, don't be on my ideas. So, progress over perfection. You guys know what it is. No guilt, no judgment, no shame. It's always only love here. Somewhere in between. I need a jingle. Who's going to write me a little jingle? Somewhere in between. That's not a good one. But anyway, just a little update. I will be back Friday Eve, Thursday for show. I hope that you all continue to have a phenomenal week. Be blessed and prosper, and continue to to show only love. And get your releases out, whatever that looks like. Whatever your release is, writing, journaling, whatever that is. Get your release out so you don't be unleashing on people unnecessarily. All right, girl. All right, everybody. KP is out.